Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. We're going to be looking at First Majestic Silver Corp, their 10K report. They just released this, I guess today. Today is November 5th. As of right now, their stock price is up like 10%. Pretty crazy. Two quick disclaimers. I'm invested in this company. I might be slightly biased, and I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a friend talking to you about this company. So I went through and highlighted a bunch of stuff. This thing is very long. Yeah, it's very lengthy. We're going to go through all of it. So buckle up. We're not going to be going too in depth though, just because again, it's so time consuming. This video would be an hour long. We're going to go through some key highlight stuff and I'll go over just my thoughts as we progress. Let's start with, I guess, just like the income statement, because that's the first thing they show us. Revenue, I mostly again look at the 9 months ended just because it gives a better gauge of kind of the company's health as opposed to the following quarter. So the revenue actually decreased a little bit, not significantly, but however from last quarter to this quarter the revenue increased substantially. Go down to here. Why is this? Oh, this is their total mining cost. So if you take the revenue minus the mining cost, you get the mining operating earnings. Basically, even though they made less money, they actually profited more money off of that when you factor in the cost of generating that revenue. So that's pretty good. Go to operating earnings, kind of decreased about 4 million as opposed to from the 9 months out, but from the 3 months out from this time around, it's almost double. So it all depends on kind of what you want to look at. Earnings before income, I like to look at that over net earnings just because income tax is different everywhere. Again, it depends on what number you're looking at. One number is completely bad, the other one's really good. So I guess in general, if you take this quarter and compare it to the quarter or last quarter, this 3 months ended in 2019 might have just been a very bad quarter. I do not exactly know. That's why, again, I guess we take a look at this. It gives a little more information. Let's keep going down. Net earnings loss for the period. They actually lost a lot of money despite generating a lot of income, or revenue, I should say. And so if you take the earnings before income, take out the income tax, then you get the actual net earnings. So you can see here, deferred to the income tax expense, that was like $7 million. Exactly what that is, they definitely say it down at the bottom. I'm not going to really go into that just because I don't even think I understand that. Take a look at the shares, and the EPS is always important. EPS was 14 cents a share as opposed to last year's quarter at 4 cents. I think Wall Street was estimating 12 cents. I think Wall Street was estimating 12.5 cents. The actual was 12. This is I'm confused why it doesn't say 12. I think it's 12. On this sheet, they said it's adjusted EPS. Okay, that's 12. There's 11 million more shares that were not there previously. So that's gonna affect the, I guess, EPS and net income and stuff. We discussed that in a little bit. We're just going over the broad numbers. This I kind of skipped over to a little bit. This is the cash flow statement for the 3 and 9 months. So here we have the net earnings. Here we have cash generated by operating activities. Again, it depends which one you want to look at. For the purposes of this conversation, I think we'll just keep it 9 months, and just because I like, again, to look at that. One thing, unrealized gain from marketable securities and silver future derivatives, that was about 6.5 million. And the previous year was 1.5 million. Their unrealized foreign exchange loss too was about almost 3 million. Whatever happened between the foreign exchange, or the exchange between the currencies, because they deal a lot with, I guess, Mexico, Canada, and they're Canadian based, as well as I think they have some in Australia. When you factor in all the exchange rate for the currencies, they lost a good amount of money just between that. Here they acquired some stream, or silver stream. That's kind of like a tongue twister. Silver stream. Cash used in operating activities. They're about the same as they were in the last 9 months. About the same amount of money they're investing. And you can see these are all the investing activities. You go to the financing activities. One thing I want to note is look at this substantial difference between this quarter as opposed to last year's same quarter. This is because proceeds from prospectus offering net of shares issue costs. So yeah, they got more financing activities, but that's because they sold a lot more shares. You see right here. That's not really a good thing in my opinion. Again, the company, it's not a bad thing either, But like the company's, hey, we need to raise some money. We're gonna do that through stock offering. That's basically what they did, as well as stock options, I guess. And so yeah, they did make money off of it, but again, it's not like genuine money. It's not revenue. They also did pay back some stuff. Let's see. They did buy back some shares too, but not this quarter. So again, I'm not really a fan of this. However, I understand it. So obviously their cash is going to be like 10 or 100 million more than it was the previous quarter or previous year at the same quarter. Keep that in mind. Cash equivalents, we can see that. So now we're comparing it to the beginning of the year as the year started. They do have more cash, but again, stocks, they gave us stocks and options. Current assets, again, that increased. It should. We could take a look at the things that made it increase the most. We can see other financial assets. They break this down further down what those actually are. Value added tax receivables, that increased by about 10 million. And again, we got that. Total assets that increased about 100 million, about 150 million. You can see a big jump in deferred tax assets as well as deposits and non-current assets. Again, this doesn't really mean too much to me. Mining interest, yeah, their assets increased, yay. A lot of assets, especially the current assets, were because of cash. That's the main takeaway from that. Total current assets or current liabilities increased a little bit, slightly too. They actually traded other payables. They actually just paid off some stuff, about 8 million. Current portion of debt facilities, that increased by like 10 times. So total liabilities increased about 20 million. And compared to the total assets, they're not leveraged at all. I think it's very healthy. That's fine. I like to see that. So total equity in the company increased from, the beginning of the year to now, like 150 million. I'm pretty sure this is millions. Just want to make sure. Yeah, thousands of dollars. That's good. I like to see equity in a company. I like to see, again, equity in a company also paying or buying back shares. It's just already healthy. But at the same time, they did take on more cash to raise capital by issuing more stock. Nature, just real quick, they have 3 producing mines currently. 4 of the mines are suspended. It's just more information about the company. They're suspended for, it would be important to know why, but I didn't take note on that. Anyway, if you're interested, there's a whole paper on it. Here we have 9 months ended the 30th from this year to last year. Here are just the mines and kind of how they're comparing revenue, cost of sales. So they list 3 mines and then all the 9 non-producing mines. 2 of these mines out of the 3 actually are not making money compared to as much money as compared to 2019. 1 mine, actually, the La Encantada. I should know, La Encantada. 2019 lost about 25 million or whatever unit this is in, and it actually is making 14,000. Let me just make sure. What is this? Yeah, thousands, 14 million. When you factor these in, especially the not producing properties in 2019 lost 16 million as opposed to now like 1.6. Factor all these in, and you actually this year they made more money, or the operating costs, or the operating earnings. Sorry. 61 million compared to 42, so they actually made money despite 2 of the big mines actually not making as much. Down here, I highlighted this, so it's important. During the 9 months ended September 30th, the company had 3 customers that accounted for 99% of its sales revenue, with 1 major metal broker accounting for 92% of total revenue, and 1 major customer for 83%. So they really only have like 3 customers, although here it says 6. Or the year before they had 6, so they're only really working with a few major customers that are buying their stuff. That has its pros and cons. Exactly who they are, we will probably not know because I don't think that's our business. But we can see, how much each mine is kind of producing, or their mining interest in producing, how much, or I guess where the money's going for each mine. Here are the assets, liabilities. We can kind of tackle this further, but I'm going to leave it at that. We can look at the revenue, where it's coming from. Silver is the majority of the revenue, 67%. Gold, 33%. They don't deal with it at all. Oh, they no longer do lead and zinc. Or do they? Yeah, they no longer do it. So revenue increased, but if you look at the 9 months, it didn't. As of September 30th, the company had 3.4 million of unearned revenue. So I don't know if they, I don't know if they added that in, but it's just a note I wanted to highlight just to make sure clarity. Next up, cost. Yeah, we can look at that, but if you guys want to look at this, financing, they go into more detail. I did highlight this. Yeah, here's where we talk about the dilution, the earnings per share loss. So for the 3 months ended September 30th, diluted weighted average number of shares excluded about 1.4 million options and 300 shares, 300,000 shares. So I forgot what I just read. Basically, they're diluting the shares. Again, they raised the capital. Just the big point. It is important because it influences their balance sheet, it influences the EPS. So yeah, that is important. But that's just talking about it again. Then they go over some more stuff. Okay, so I just skipped like a whole section talking about the assets they have, the plant property and all that stuff. You can read it. It's probably important. However, again, for the length of this video purposes and stuff, I'm just gonna leave that out. Here they talk about the stock options. I thought this was kind of cool. I haven't actually seen this that many times before, but you can see the price that these options are at that they have, and just expected lifetime. I thought that was kind of cool. Just worth sharing. This is on page 26 if anyone's interested. Here they talk about all their risks and stuff. Okay, so I guess we're actually like halfway, so we're not making good time in the video. But management discussing MD&A. So we kind of already talked about this in the previous video where I discussed this over here, but we'll do this real quick. Silver ounces produced. When you look at a year-to-date change, we'll probably just end up looking at this 2019 year-to-date just because it has the most, I guess, or even 2020 year-to-date. Just the change between these two, the 2019, 2020, down 18%. They didn't produce as much. However, they were able to sell it at a much higher price. All the silver makes sense, an increase in price. So they actually made the 23% increase in the price of silver. So the revenue actually went down from last year, about 8%. When again, revenue did increase substantially though. And when you compare it to the previous quarter, that was again because Q2, they barely sold any silver. They didn't want to sell those cheap prices. I can respect that decision. Working capital increased incredible amounts. And cash, again, they took on a lot of stock. Or they sold a lot of stock. Cash flow per share is down 26%. Again, you like to see the cash flow, like to see liquidity through the company. Here, one thing I want to take a note of, cost cash per ounce. This is on a per silver ounce basis. It was only $2.49 compared to, they don't show it. It's somewhere down here, about 6%. Yeah, compared to 6.73 cents per ounce in the previous quarter. This was attributed to increased production levels as well as a higher byproduct credit as a result of higher level of gold sales from finished goods inventory that rolled over from the second quarter. Very important right here. So this was also partially offset by the higher production costs due to an increase in ore development activities to catch up on low production, additional mining contractor costs to replace vulnerable workers, and there's a 5% stronger peso, Mexican peso against the US dollar compared to the previous. So again, just talking about, I forgot what I was talking about. Whatever I just read, it was important. Trust me. Don't trust me, but it's important stuff. Just talking about where this number kind of came from and why it's important. You want that number to be low, because the lower that number is, the more money they can generate, or I guess margin-wise, with what they sell it. Financial highlights, revenue, I already talked about that. So we'll talk about some things that they, bought or whatever, but I'm not going to go too into detail. It's just a lot of information. So they acquired Springpole Silver Stream. They purchased 50%. They are purchasing 50% of the life of the mine, payable silver from that whatever project. Just so that they're adding to their portfolio. Silver dollar 5-year option agreement. Here's also some quick thing, the La Joya project. Just if you want to read them. Here's a massive chart of the last 8 quarters of each mine, and it's a lot of information. We can spend hours, or not hours, like 20 minutes just discussing this. I'm just going to keep that for this right now. So this is with the whole pandemic thing. They continue to support vulnerable workers with base pay and medical services. They're also supporting local communities by sponsoring health professionals. So they're obviously doing things to, ease the workload on workers and just, again, the communities that they're impacting, because they probably have these big mines just in these, so I guess Mexico region places. I don't know, it shows support and stuff, but at the same time, it costs money. Just gotta keep that in mind. So I think we already talked about this. Here they're still doing some exploration, about 10,000 meters underground development. Here they discuss each mine individually. I think it's important to read this, but again, this video is getting long. There's still information we got to talk about. Go down here, overview of financial performance. This is kind of just another way that they're looking, or another thing. We already looked at basically all this information. It's just displayed in a different way. And then they also discuss it, but I guess we're kind of nearing the end of this video. Down here we have the summary of the quarterly results. You can see revenue based on previous quarters. I like this chart a lot because it really shows just in comparison to each quarter. I think in general, AG, or First Majestic, laid out their report very nicely to understand and read. One thing I did want to look at is the mining operating earnings. This kind of, again, takes all this, and so this line factors in all this. This quarter they made like 48 million, as opposed to they lost 7 million last quarter, made 20 million. So from a mine operating earnings point of view, this was their best quarter in the last 8 quarters. So it's good to hear, as well as their EPS was the best. They did make, the revenue, that's just the earnings. Next up, this is their share repurchasing program. During the 9 months ended September 30th, the company repurchased and canceled 275,000 common shares for blah, 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 blah. That's one thing that I'm kind of confused about. They sold shares, but then they repurchased them back, but it doesn't show it up there. I don't know if they're planning to repurchase it back this quarter. I don't know, to be honest. Or Toronto Stock Exchange. That's actually, yeah, I think I understand now. I think they're only doing it in the Canadian. They're repurchasing their Canadian. Is that how it works? I'm so confused. Maybe. I'm actually not sure how this works. That's a good question. Do you separate your company? Be like, hey, like 20% of my company, we're gonna make people. Yeah, I think that is how it works. So they actually didn't buy back any shares, and yeah. Let me know if I'm wrong on that or right. But again, I'm not an expert. I think that's how it works, though. This chart seemed kind of important too, but again, we're getting to a point where it's information overload. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap up this video. I think we talked about enough about the company. However, if you want to look at more, and there's so much information that dives deeper into the company, I think overall, I think, I looked at Kirkland's, I looked at NEM's mine, or financial report. First Majestic, it's obviously silver, not in comparison, it's different than gold, but at the same time, they seem strong, but I don't know about that strong. Just judging from, I mean, they made a lot of money and everything, don't get me wrong, but I guess what I'm saying is because they're not as large, I guess, they're not making as much. I would like to see them, I guess them issuing out so much more cash or shares, I guess just turned me off a little bit. However, we'll see. They might buy it. There's a lot of factors, but again, good company. I am invested in it a good amount in my portfolio. So I like the CEO the most. I like the business and the products they sell and how they're managing it. So that's why I'm invested. If there's some discrepancies between what they're doing, they obviously understand the business more than me. But obviously I have to do my research to make sure they're doing their job too. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I will see you.